Hello all, good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are joining. And in this session, we will be going through the stock market indexes analysis, stocks which are requested by some of you, and the request which have been already put up in the Google shared spreadsheet, as well as if you have any of the requests that you would like us to be analyzed, we'll take those as well, including stocks and crypto. So before we go on to the analysis, we would like to touch upon what we have from GMT team in the upcoming weeks. So for those who are not aware, and for those who are already aware, this growmoneytrading.com is our website, and in the next week, next Sunday, we are starting our new trading course batch. It is called Grow Money Trading Course for Stocks and Crypto. This will be a 4 weeks course. We would deep dive into how we take the course in our next session, which will be in about 50 minutes at 1 p.m. And we are also excited for our new event, which is kind of a first in-person event organized by GMT and proudly supported and sponsored by some of our sponsors. This event will be on 11th of June. It will be in person in Toronto, GTA. So please hang on to the call in the next session when we talk about the course. We would also share you more details about this event. So please do join us in the event, and today you can get a brief of what you can expect at the event. Now, in this session, we talk about the analysis. So we will go on to the analysis and we will come to the course and the events in the later part of our session that we have planned today. So talking about the markets, as we had expected last week, we had anticipated based on the technical analysis that the markets would go down, and that's what we witnessed in the last week. It followed the technicals that we have primarily relied on, especially some of the indicators that we use. And looking at the NASDAQ as the first index that we would take for the analysis today, NASDAQ 100 NDX. If you look at the last week on the weekly chart, it almost touched the 200 EMA, which was at 11,364. The low in this week was 11,492. From there, the market got pulled up in the last session. And if you look on the daily chart, you can see most of the indicators have reversed. The indicators that we rely, Williams R, which is an early indicator, it was in oversold region and has curved up. Even MACD, the histogram has reduced in size. So this is a signal of reversal on the daily chart. And based on that, we had also given alert in our group for taking some of the positions. Looking at the short term for 2 to 3 days on NDX, it could be profitable for those who have opened their position last Friday. And the coming Monday could be a bullish day. Just make sure that if you are in a profitable position and you have entered for the short term, book your profits by mid of the week. If you have entered in options, if you have entered in stock, you could hold for some more time, especially if you have entered for few weeks of trade. About a week you could plan to hold, but once we go on analysis of the other indexes, how much duration would be less riskier, we can suggest to plan your trade accordingly. Looking at the IXIC, which is all the stocks on NASDAQ, you will notice the similar trend what we saw on NDX. This is the daily chart. If you look at the weekly chart, and this is where we heavily notice the market sentiment based on where the support market noticed. The support for IXIC was at the 200 EMA. It got pulled, it got below 200 EMA and got pulled and closed at EMA 200. Although the Williams are on weekly chart is slightly lower, but if you look at CCI has almost flattened. So in the next week, if it moves up, you would notice the indicators also reversing up, which on the daily chart, it has almost reversed. If you look at all the major stocks on the left-hand side, in the last about 1.5 to 2 hours of this session on Friday, based on what we had also mentioned, it has shown reversal. Any questions on NDX or IXIC? Vivek, you are looking for Tesla and CCL? Seems Vivek is on mute. We'll continue further.
Kamal, did you ask me something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was asking any questions on NDX, IXIC, and then I asked about.
No. I followed NDX. I don't have any questions on that.
Fine. And Munir, you have question about TQQ. We will go on to QQQ first. QQQ follows the NASDAQ 100. So let me.
Okay.
We look closely at QQQ. Its pattern is almost similar to NDX or IXIC. As we had mentioned in the group as well on Thursday, that it could drop, touch the lower Bollinger Band, and that's what happened. It touched the lower Bollinger Band and market pulled it up. So on daily chart, and also if you look at the weekly chart, it almost touched the 200 EMA. And as you would learn as part of the course, whenever the price drops below the Bollinger Band, and this is called the lower Bollinger Band, the market pulls the price up. On weekly chart, if it pulls up, you can expect the price to go further up. So for QQQ, The first target would be 305, and we can expect mid Bollinger Band and super trend, which is currently at 307 and 309, that could merge and become resistance for the coming week. What that means for TQQ, which we trade, TQQ and SQQ. Let's first discuss about TQQ. So if you are on TQQ, the first resistance would be at 33. Currently, mid Bollinger Band and super trend is at 34.24 and 33.94 respectively, which is like 34. Being a conservative approach, you can have your first target at 33. Can add some of the indicators to show why we are saying that it's good time to take a at least short-term long position trade. This Williams R, it has reversed. CCI was in oversold region, and you can expect it to reverse in the coming week. And same goes with RSI. We look at MACD, the histograms have reduced in size, and signal and MACD lines are almost merged. On the weekly trend, the Williams R has not reversed on the weekly trend. Once we see some bullish trend in the market in the coming week, we can expect Williams R to reverse as well. Currently, it is almost at the lowest point. So even if you have not opened any position in the last week, either opening position in the pre-market tomorrow or at the market open could also be profitable in the short term, especially for those who are entering trade for 1 to 2 days. This also applies for those who are trading options, especially those who are trading calls, and a short-term 1 to 2 days trade for nearer expiry. Prefer expiry beyond 1 week for your call positions that could be profitable. Now, I've been saying about short term within this week trade as expecting to be bullish. If you look on the monthly chart for QQQ, and also similar thing would apply for QQQ and NDX, is that it touched the 100 EMA 25.5, which I think we had mentioned in the last analysis session as well, and it has taken support at this level. However, on the monthly chart, still the indicators are downward. So if you are on TQQ, have your stop loss set at least 25. Since the lower Bollinger Band on monthly chart is still, if I use this, is still downwards. On the monthly basis, there's still probability of TQQ dropping further down from its current level, which is close to 27, to another about $12, 15.5. And EMA 200 mostly acts as strong support. So for those who are looking to take long positions or buying calls, prefer to be on position for short term. For those who are thinking to invest in TQQ, I would suggest to wait for another 1 month. Towards the end of June could be good time to enter in TQQ for long-term positions beyond 3 months or 6 months, 1 year. With the current trend on the monthly chart, there's still probability of downtrend, and same would apply for QQQ as well. This is on the monthly chart. If you see here, it has not yet touched the lower Bollinger Band, where the EMA 50 is almost merging with the lower Bollinger Band. And since QQQ follows NDX, you'll notice you'll have similar observations. And same goes with IXIC. At least for IXIC, it did touch the lower Bollinger Band and then showed reversal in the last week. So for a short-term position within two days to about a week could be profitable. But for those who are planning to invest, it's better to wait for some more time. Or if you start noticing the market is taking resistance towards the end of the week, then you could go for put for those who are trading in options. But having stop loss in either call or put would be recommended, because the market is quite volatile. Although the overall trend based on the weekly chart and monthly chart, it does follow. However, on the daily chart, you would notice the market volatility is quite high. The overall weekly and monthly trend is honored, but on consecutive days, you would notice there are more gap downs and gap ups in the last week, and you can expect further as well. Any questions so far? Are we good on US?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me also touch SPY, since many members trade options with SPY. On the monthly chart, there's clearly expectation that you can expect it to drop up to at least 347, which is the 50 EMA, and lower Bollinger Band is at 334. So expecting about 50 points more drop in SPY is possible on the monthly chart. On the daily chart, on the weekly chart, it has dropped under the lower Bollinger Band, and it could move up again for few sessions depending on the weekly chart. On the daily chart trend, touch the mid Bollinger Band and face resistance around 407, or actually 404.5 looks to be a strong resistance. If it moves ahead from this resistance, the next resistance level would be the super trend level of 412. That would be the next strong resistance. As you can see here, it has touched almost 1, 2, 3, 4 times within about 2 months. In fact, within about a month. So plan for short-term trades for smaller targets. And once you see it facing resistance, then you can plan for going for either inverse ETF or taking put positions for those who are trading options. If market reverses, if the bullish sentiment is high based on some positive news, then the next target from 410, the next target would be 430, which looks to be a strong resistance looking at the multiple EMAs and upper Bollinger Band merging at the same price, similar price. However, in general, the recommendation would be to look for smaller targets and book profit, and based on the market trend, plan the subsequent trades. Talking especially about Apple, since we had shared about Apple. So if you notice on the daily chart, it had dropped under the lower Bollinger Band and got pulled up. Williams R has reversed up. CCI has almost reversed up, being in oversold region, and even RSI has flattened out. RSI being lagging indicator, you can expect it to follow Williams R CCI. The histogram, although it has not reversed yet, if the market takes a bullish trend on, or it closes with a green candle on Monday, we can expect the histogram size to reduce. However, on the monthly chart, all the indicators are downward. So for those who usually invest in Apple, although it took support at the super trend, which is kind of a strong support, but still in general, on the long term, for those who are investing in Apple, it's still time to wait. Let it drop down further. Although all the indicators are in oversold, but it would be better to let it drop further, reverse, and then enter, since you would be entering for a longer duration of at least 3 months, 6 months, or over a year. This is the general trend for most of the indexes, and that would more or less apply for all the major tech stocks, especially if you are following Google, Amazon, Microsoft. Shopify follows the trend on NYSE, but since Shopify has dropped already, if you look on the monthly chart, it has taken support at the 200 EMA on the monthly chart, which is a very strong support. So for those who are planning to open new long position for investing or even for trading for longer term, Shopify, among other large tech stocks, based on the technicals, Shopify is currently at a buy on a monthly basis. On the weekly chart, it didn't touch the lower Bollinger Band, but if you look at last week and this week, it has had a higher lows, although it didn't touch the lower Bollinger Band. So if you want to wait for couple of weeks, that should be fine. When it touches the lower Bollinger Band on weekly chart and daily chart, that would be ideal time to open a new position for long term. Since I spoke about Shopify, and let me move on to Tesla, which is also requested by Vivek. So Tesla on daily chart, the Williams R and CCI has almost flattened out, although it did not reach the lowest Williams R value from where it reverses. However, based on how the market closed on Friday, it also touched the lower Bollinger Band and has given a closing slightly above. If the market is bullish on Monday and you're planning to enter for short term, you could still take a trade. If you are planning for options, I would suggest compared to Tesla, Shopify could be more rewarding if you choose further expiry.
Okay, man.
You could get almost similar returns if you either trade Shopify or Tesla. At this point, Shopify looks more preferable.
Sure. I will look into it, definitely.
Yeah, even in terms of premium, you will find Shopify premiums would be cheaper, so you can take contracts of Shopify.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Shopify, since it's gonna have a bit of a down run, followed by an up, right?
For Shopify, yes, you just have to wait for a couple of days in this week.
Okay.
Okay. If it drops the way it has been dropping, within a day or two, it should touch the lower Bollinger Band, and that would be good time to buy. So looking at Tuesday or Wednesday could be good for Shopify to enter.
Okay, man. Sure.
Since tomorrow Canadian market is closed, NYSE, if it is bullish, it might not drop, whereas Tuesday, which is, you would have noticed most of the time Tuesdays are red, so it could form a bearish engulfing, touch the lower Bollinger Band, and that time it would be good to enter.
Okay, sure.
Even if it doesn't form this pattern, ideal entry would be close to 300, which is the lower Bollinger Band. Okay.
Sure, man.
Okay, and next is CCL. 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 So are you on some position with CCL, or are you watching it came up in your screener?
Kamal, like the intent is like now the scenarios are changing. So CCL people have started to look for vacation destination, cruise, and all those things are kind of recovering. So I took a very long call. That's like 1 year call with an expiry of around 30.
30.
30. But the expiry is after 1 year.
So you mean strike of 30?
Strike of 30, expiry in 23.
Okay.
I got it for like 10 cents or something.
Mm-hmm. How is the volume on the option that you have chosen?
Too far, so nothing to like predict at this point. But I feel like this can reverse back because of the change in COVID situation and everything.
Okay. Yeah, 30 is.
I just took like one call, and then because if things change, even if I get, the probability of getting double is faster.
Okay. Yeah, 30, your strike of 30 is 200 EMA on the weekly chart.
Yeah.
So since you have chosen long expiry, which means you could get chance when it becomes in the money. As
Yeah.
of now, it is out the money. If you would like to roll a position, you could choose uh, strike which is much lower, around 22 could definitely be a nearer term if you would like to roll your position.
Okay, sure.
But I would say that you can wait for at least 2 months when the market reverses. Since past 5 months, market has been on bearish trend, and
Yeah.
looking at monthly chart, we are expecting another month to be on the bearish trend.
Mm-hmm.
Once it reverses by end of July, if you see that it has started reversing strongly, then you
Mm-hmm.
can uh, decide whether you would like to add some more positions or open a call spread with a nearer strike and a nearer expiry,
Sure.
which could give return faster.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So next we will GME and AMC. I would like to take it later. Okay, Vivek?
No problem, man. Sure.
Since those are not just technical, those are dependent on technicals and more than technical speculation. So I'll take those, but towards the end,
Yeah.
I'll take the request from Munir. TQQ we discussed. Munir, do you have a specific question for TQQ?
No, I think I'm good. I have the spot for the short term, so I'm targeting the first target price 33 in coming few days.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to mention same. We discussed 33 would be the first target. So
Yeah.
since you have entered at 29.5, you would have about $3.5 per share. So which is quite good.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So next is SOXL. Is this the one? Daily semiconductor ETF, and it is also leverage ETF 3 times.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So this would be similar to TQQ since it is also leverage ETF. That's new ETF for me to follow. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, it's already $2 up. Like I bought it 1850, less than 1850.
Nice. So, okay, so on the monthly trend, it took support at 100 EMA and has formed a red doji. On the weekly trend also, it's a red doji. On the daily trend, similar to what we saw for QQQ and other indexes, it touched the lower Bollinger Band and has got pulled up. Since you have opened your position at 18.5 and the super trend here is at 25.23, which acted as resistance previously about 4 sessions back. When it goes up, it could take resistance at the similar level. As you notice, the super trend has flattened out. So what I can suggest based on this indicator is that you have your target at 25. Although super trend is at 25.23, being conservative, 25 or 24.9 could be your target. And the reason why I'm suggesting that as target and not suggesting to look for upper Bollinger Band, which is at 27, is on the weekly chart. It has formed a red doji, which is inconclusive. Although if the market trend is strong bullish, it could go up to the 200 EMA and 10 EMA merging at 27.3, which also seems to be the upper Bollinger Band, 27.4. So if it is bullish and it has high volume on a green day, especially for SOXL, then it could touch 27. Okay, but because it has formed a red doji, the chances of it dropping down on the weekly basis, since the lower Bollinger Band is at 12.5, the probability of it dropping to 12.5 is also considerable. So in order to avoid losing your profit, a conservative target would be 25. If you see high volume on a green candle, then you can choose to increase your target to 27 or just have 10% or 20% of the position for target 27 and close or book your profit at 25, knowing that it could face resistance and drop down very fast to the lower Bollinger Band on the weekly chart based on weekly trend.
Okay, and similarly to TQQ, it has a reversal of SOXS in case you are looking to trade. So it is a SOXS, S for school.
S for short. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, that's nice. So like SQQ, SOXX looks to be the inverse ETF for semiconductor.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. So it was on 45 when I entered and it went up to 52.
Wow. So that's nice. So that's why once you understand the ETFs, you don't have to worry about the market trend, whether it is bullish or bearish. If you trade with pairs, which are following the market and inverse, you could make good profits with just with trading in pair. In this case, you have chosen SOXL and SOXS, which is good, or TQQ or an SQQ. Both are 3 times leverage index, which means you are aggressive and you're looking for good profits along with knowing that you are taking riskier trade, but that's fine since you understand some of the technicals and how they are moving. Taking advantage of this leverage ETFs, especially for active trades, which are for very short term, is quite rewarding.
Thank you.
And thanks for sharing this. I'll also track both of this. Next is Twitter. Before I'll, since I have viewed, it will be added in my list. Twitter. Okay, Twitter. Okay, Twitter on the daily chart, on based on the indicators, it all indicators, Williams R, CCI, RSI, even MACD, since the histograms have reduced, the red histograms have reduced in size, are indicating reversal. It's just the lower Bollinger Band. It has not flattened out or curved up. That's the only indicator which is showing risk if you opened a new position or if you are holding it. Are you already on it?
Yeah, I opened it 30. I opened position at 37.80.
37.8. Okay. Yeah. So at 37.8, there's a small gap down as well, which it should close. So 40.2 or even 40.8, which is the EMA 10, could be your first target. And then this gap down would be closed when it reaches close to this level of 43. But it could take time. This gap, it could take time to close. The immediate target would be for about 40.5 could be your first target if you're looking for a short term. And since it had a gap down, this gap down, it would close, but it would take time.
Okay.
Okay. However, looking on the weekly chart, it's not favorable. Your Williams R, CCI, RSI, even MACD histograms are reducing. So I would suggest to just look for the first target.
Yeah, I was expecting 39.50.
Yeah. So 39.50 is good. Since this gap, it could close this time. So 39.50 or 49.50 could be good target for closing your position. On the monthly chart, it has taken support at the 200 EMA, which is good, but since it has formed almost bearish candle with small wicks and the indicators are still downward, especially on the weekly chart, it is not favorable to hold for more than 2 to 3 weeks or even more than 2 weeks. It would be better to book your profit, wait for it to drop again, and then re-enter. Around 32 if the lower Bollinger Band reverses, or wait for it to touch the lower Bollinger Band on weekly chart and then enter.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we are at 12:50, so we will take GME and AMC. Yes. So GME and AMC, usually there are technicals based on which some take trade and rest take just follow based on how it's discussed on the Reddit and other social platforms. So as of now on the daily chart, it has been taking support at 91, and we are talking session. It has also got pulled up towards the end with the market trend. And on weekly chart, it actually touched the 200 EMA lower Bollinger Band and has formed a higher low on the weekly trend. Just a red doji, but the CCI has come curved up and RSI is almost flattening out. On the monthly chart, it has still potential to drop. So Vivek, if you are planning to enter for a quick trade, expecting bullish market on Monday and Tuesday, you could play with GME if you are planning for a very short term trade.
Kamal, I'm thinking of puts because like after the initial run, it can drop significantly. That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Because if you see, there is a crossover. No, I think AMC.
Okay. So this we are looking at GME.
No, sorry. The other one that you showed, it looked like a drop, but this one, it can be a small uptrend, I feel.
Yes, that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if you are looking for a very short term trade with GME, you can open position at the market open or in pre-market in stocks. If you're planning to play with options, then call, but you'll have to enter at the start of market and prefer to choose strike as 113, close to 113. The mid Bollinger Band is at 109. So 110 strike would be preferred so that you will be in the money very soon.
Sure, Kamal.
Okay. And once it spikes, when it gets in the money, depending on how is the volume, you can still hold it, as it could spike up to 138 before it drops. And when it is close to 138, on the weekly trend, the mid Bollinger Band is at 164 and super trend is at mid Bollinger Band is at 120.47 and super trend is at 146. So when it is close to 140, or even 138, that would be a good time to buy a put for a further expiry. If you are planning to buy for at least 1 or 2 months expiry, put when it is above 130 or closer to 140, that time you could buy a put.
Okay, Kamal.
So let's quickly touch AMC as well, since you are following AMC. AMC on weekly chart, it touched the lower Bollinger Band. Just the last candle, it has formed a gravestone doji. Yeah. And on the monthly trend, can easily expect it to go down. All the indicators are downward. Even on daily chart, although market reversed towards the end, both the mid Bollinger Band and super trend are at the similar levels. So 13.5, it looks to face resistance at this level and expect it to drop.
Thanks, Kamal.
Okay. So for AMC downtrend, even though the market seems to be reversing. Okay, we are into last 4 minutes, but let's see if Dinesh, do you have any request or any question in whatever we have discussed up to now?
No, Kamal, no questions.
Okay, so we will take last request for the day from Munir, which is RBLX. almost touched the upper Bollinger Band and has started coming down. There seems to be profit taking happening and the indicators are downward. So if you are on it, it would be better to close the position. And if you are planning to enter, wait for about a week or at least towards the end of the week. The lower Bollinger Band is at 17, which is almost $14 low. So on weekly trend, you can still expect it to go further down. And since it has started trading last year on the monthly chart, the Bollinger Band is not even formed. So for this RBLX, expect it to go downward. If you are already on it, better to close your position. Okay, Munir?
Okay.
Okay. Okay, then. So with that, we have covered the major indexes. I talked only about the US indexes. I think I'll just in a 1 minute just cover about TSX as well. For TSX on the daily and weekly chart, it had touched up. It has touched the 100 EMA and moved up, but towards the end, it has seemed to face resistance at the mid Bollinger Band. So for those who are trading on the US, on the Canadian market, wait how the US market trades tomorrow, and then you can hold on to your position or have a stop loss. If it
Kamal, I was looking at the tickers in Canadian market because I have a small Canadian account as well. I felt like CNR looks intriguing. Say around 140 and low, it could be a good entry for 150 exit, something like that.
Okay.
Because like we once discussed CNR, somebody bought it up, and Vivek sir was there at that point.
Yeah. It is. Oh, it's
On a
not
daily,
this one.
yeah, it's gonna come down to
Yeah, based on the last candle, it could still come down, and the lower Bollinger Band is still further down. It has been holding at this level, which previously formed support. It could close this gap and face resistance and drop down further. So under 140 would be good time to buy. Based on the last candle, we can still expect it to drop down, especially when the EMA 200 is at 132. So at this point, it would be good to wait.
Yeah, I was watching it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. Thanks for mentioning about CNR. So with that, I would like to thank you all for joining, and for those who have any further analysis questions, please feel free to do your analysis and share in the groups, and we would provide our feedback. For those who are interested in knowing our upcoming courses, I would request you all to stay on the call, and we would give you a glimpse of what we do in the course, and also about the upcoming grow money trading and investing seminar that we are going to have on 11th of June. For those who joined for this analysis session, thank you, and hope you all can stay on the call if you would like to get some detail about the conference or the course. And I'll just stop the YouTube streaming for the analysis session, and then we can start the orientation part of the session.